So I just want to begin by thanking you for being here with me. And Vanya, if you could just take a minute and go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yes, thank you. And it's a pleasure to be here and because you helped me so much. So I'm very happy to share my experience. My name is Vania. I'm from Italy. I'm 37 years old and I met Rim we met 2 years ago, I think, almost 1 year, 2 years ago. And then I decided to start to study with you because I was really interested to improve my relation, all kind of relation. And yeah, it happened.
Awesome. And what do you do, Vanya? Just so everyone has some perspective on like
Okay,
what you do
so
for work and
uh, I'm a yoga teacher. I'm I was teaching before everything happened Ashtanga yoga on a daily basis every morning at 6 a.m. Now I do teach yoga, like the physical part, through Zoom and the web, and I also teach philosophy, meditation. So I'm teaching yoga in the big sense of the words.
awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you again for being here with me. I know it takes a lot of courage to talk about some of these things that we're going to share, but I thought that one of the best ways for others to really get a glimpse of what divine union is about is to hear from other students and their experiences. So I just want to ask you to be as honest as possible today so everyone gets a really good understanding of what to expect and anticipate if they are considering this program. And just thank you from the bottom of my heart again. It's really interesting too because you, Vanya, you've done both of my programs, Pelvic Redemption and as well as Divine Union. So it's been a really interesting journey to continue to study together, and we both learn in the process. So if you could just tell everybody, before Divine Union, who were you in your approach to men and women, to relationships and dating?
Okay. Before Divine Union, I was like the whenever, always version of me. So I used to I had some relation, and now now I understood that maybe my idea of being in a relation with a man was a little bit too dreamy, like a Walt Disney cartoon, something like that. And and then I was very confused about which kind of man do I want to have in my life and what I want to be, or as a woman, as a wife. I know that I want to have a family and I want to be a wife and I want to have kids, but I realized later on that I was so confused. So I was pretty confused. That's maybe the best words that can describe how I was feeling.
Mm, thank you. What would you say was your biggest motivator to to joining Divine Union?
Okay, for sure, taking pelvic redemption was very empowering for me, and I felt ready to make a change in my life. I really wanted to change, so I was ready to take a new leap.
Amazing. And you're saying that you wanted to change. You had this idea of changing, but maybe you had some apprehension. Maybe you thought, some concerns or some doubts coming into the program or even after signing up. Did that come for you?
But no, well, like because when I feel from inside that it's time to take another step and move forward, is something that for me is very clear and clever. It's something like, okay, now you go and it's time to change, move on. So during the program I was feeling, of course I had some different feelings and many thoughts coming up, but I was sure about the path, and then I was very focused on keep growing and changing. So no doubt.
Totally. So you were really motivated by like wanting to change yourself, wanting to change the way you interact in relationships, if I'm understanding.
Yes, I was very determined. Like, even though maybe sometimes some topics were challenging for me and of course triggering, but I was like, okay, I'm gonna be here, I'm gonna listen, and I'm gonna try to see where this part of me are triggered and why, and what I can do to make it better for myself, like in my life.
So what was one of the most triggering concepts or challenging things that you had to work with and examine within yourself?
Okay, one of the most challenging topic was that if I'm going to have a kid, or when I'm going to have a kid, it will be a geriatric pregnancy because I'm over 35. This one was one of the most difficult topic for me. And the other one was about having several relation with different men. Like, I don't want to say that I had thousands of men in my life, but then I understood that in some part I waste my energy in some relation, probably, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I even have to say I struggled with some of these concepts. Like when I first learned this, that it's not easy to digest, and there's it kind of hits you like a sack of bricks, right? You're kind of experiencing it, and it kind of feels like in the pit of your stomach you feel weird, but you kind of know there's something about this concept, right?
Yes.
So yeah. And how did you face those triggering things? How do you feel like you dealt with that? And where are you now with the concepts?
Okay. Um, Actually, I have to say that I had to meditate on that for a while. Like, the other day, I was thinking about all the process and divine union and the program. And because I had some insight during the last weeks, I felt I'm very slow in learning because it wasn't something that was blowing up on me suddenly, but it took some time for me to digest it. So I just started to think about what happened and how I acted in some situation and how bad I was in other situation and why I was reacting in this way or that way. And actually why were doing divine union, something very strong happened in my life, in my relation, feeling in my sovereign. Doing this made me realize why I react in that way and what I better next time.
Oh, it looks like there we go. We may have lost you, but it's okay. Let's see.
Wait, give me 1 second. I changed
No
the
problem.
connection because yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
So I was saying that because of divine union, I understood that I can act differently and I can be a different woman, like still being me, but with a different way of acting and reacting and responding better than reacting to a situation. So yes, and it takes time and a lot of thinking. and moving the body just to release everything that is coming up. Like I really started to move my body in a different way. Like I need some energetic exercise now. And I'm quite sure that it comes from divine union.
Oh, wow. It's so empowering to hear you share these things. And I just want to let you know, like, I disagree with you. I don't think you're slow at all to learn. I think that this information is really important and necessary. And also, it's completely opposite of everything we've ever been told. And so the programming is so deep within us that it does take a lot of effort to kind of eradicate these and then reintegrate something new, a new way of understanding, a new way of being. But I think that you and I both agree that is much more fruitful for life, right? So,
Yes, and it was also empowering for me because some of the idea and the concept that you shared, it was something that I was really feeling inside, but I felt like uh, wrong to think about that because I'm a woman and I really feel as a woman. And in the last years, I was feeling something like, okay, you're a woman, but you shouldn't identify too much with being a woman. But I was feeling like I'm a woman and I want to feel like a woman. I want to act like a woman. And you divine union made me feel really okay, you are a woman and it's safe to be you, it's safe to be a woman, it's okay to feel like that, it's okay that you want to have kids, and it's also okay that probably I lost too many years thinking about should I have a kid or not, not because of my desire but because of the society and the environment. Yeah.
thank you for sharing that.
Mhm.
It's so, and I also can attest to that too. So, well, now you know this information. What would you tell a younger version of yourself? What advice would you give a younger Vania?
uh, you can be choosy, and there are different kind of men, and you have all the right to be loved as you are, and having a kid is not a privilege or a pain that you have to go through your life. It can be joyful and you can do it. You really can do it. Yes. And I would also say play more with your feminine side and like play, and you can flirt with your man, you can be nice, you can have fun also in relation. Yes, and try to have these feelings with your man and talk more with your man and have decide together where you want to go and how you want to reach that point. Mm.
And in regards to the concepts that triggered you the most, where do you stand with those now?
You mean how I feel or what I want to do?
Yeah, so you mentioned that the geriatric pregnancy at the naturopaths, they say age 35. Now, of course, we know lots of women are getting pregnant after this age, but we're talking about biologically your most fertile years. That's something that we can't, you know, negate. It's the reality of the situation. Or about um, any other concepts that really triggered you. How do you feel about those now? How do you feel in your body now? You said you want to do a lot of like energetic movement with that. Maybe it's like getting things unstuck with you, but how do you feel with those concepts right now?
I'm about having kids, I'm praying. Like I'm more in a surrender mode, thinking that it doesn't comes only from me and my desire, but it comes from a divine union. it happened that during the last months, I met some very powerful woman, like in age, and they asked me, do you want to have a kid alone? You should think about that. And because of divine union, I come to realize that I don't want to have kids alone. Like I really don't want. So this is where I'm standing. I think that is not in my hand right now, having a kids or not. I don't want to have sex with someone just to have kids. It's not my cup of tea at all. So about this, I'm really praying. And I have a big stamp on my window where I wrote "Be her" because it's something that I learned from you. And I have this idea of me, of this woman in integrity, because you talked about being in integrity with ourselves. So now I know more how it feels, like how it feels to not be always the one just giving love and saying, oh, please come here and love me and ask for love. And no, I think I'm lovable as I am. And I really want to be her. So that's why every morning I watch my window, and be her is my sentence. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I'm having fun, like the fun that I can have during this quarantine time. But when I can have some, when there is some opportunities to date or just to meet men, I'm really having more fun with small little thing.
Did you ever anticipate like the situation of the world to be like this? And how has that affected your romantic life?
Okay, so it was here that I was following teacher and listening to my teacher or my guides telling me that something was going to happen. And of course, when it started to happen, this situation, my first reaction was, okay, now is the time. But then being in this situation is very hard. And even though I have these feelings and this knowing that we choose to be here in this moment and space and time is still very hard and tough. And for sure, what is my toughest point and triggering point to face in this moment is that I feel very lonely. Yeah. And it's tough. And I know that it's difficult for other people to understand because um, I think that divine union is also helpful for all these women that are in a relation and they keep complaining about the relation and the little stuff that seem from outside. Sometimes I think, come on, it's nothing. Honey, you have a husband, you have kids. Of course, it's not easy, but you are surrounded with energy, people, and love. You can decide to be in love. And yeah, I think that this course is helpful, even if you are in a relation where you feel like stuck or tired or bored, because then you learn that it can be fun and not boring at all.
Totally.
Yeah.
So, what would you say for yourself in future relationships? Like, what's the biggest takeaway from this whole program that you're going to use in a future relationship?
Whoa. um, coming. I'm not, how you say in English, bargaining,
Like
begging,
begging? Okay.
begging for love. And I don't want to shut down my voice and pretend to be someone else, because this is what I am. And I can be really lovely. Like when I'm in a relation, I'm really lovely. And sometimes I'm scared to be like too much lovely and to share too much and to take and to have this feeling that I want to take care of someone. But I really want to be myself, and I don't want to date someone thinking, okay, he's not texting me, so what should I do? Should I text back or not? Should I wait sometimes? I'm tired. Like, I'm really tired of all these things. Even because if I'm in this mode of acting a lot, I think that the other person is not the one that I want to be with for a lifetime.
Really incredible realizations.
Yeah.
Definitely. So what my last question for you, Vanya, is what would you say to someone who's considering to sign up for Divine Union?
Go for it, of course, because for me it was challenging, changing, and I felt authorized. I really felt authorized taking Divine Union to be a woman, to be me, and to desire what I want, but also to be practical. You really taught us to be practical, and I'm very practical in my life. So you gave us practical tools to handle the situation. So if you need something that can inspire you, challenging you, transform you, and giving you some authorization to be you, just go and do Divine Union. And you share a lot. Like Reem is very generous in teaching, and she never hide herself. She's teaching a lot. She's sharing way too much. Sometimes like, wait. So I really love that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Vanya, it's such a pleasure to know you, and I thank you so much for having the courage to share your story and share your experience. And I really think that so many people will benefit from just hearing what you encountered in this process. And it's always a pleasure to work with you. So thank you again.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. And also, thank you for having the patience for the language, because you know me, I'm from Italy. I always feel this gap between Italian and English. So it was so nice to be in a round table of women, like listening each other and being patient with each other. And I never thought that this kind of connection can be so real abroad through internet and Zoom and Wi-Fi collapsing, but it is real. So I have to thank you because
Yeah, I mean, despite everything going on in the world, like I think the coolest thing that has come out through this process over the past year is the real intimate connections that we've made with one another across oceans, and I'm also very grateful for that because, although we cannot sit shoulder to shoulder as sisters, this is the next best thing. And for now, we're very fortunate to have it.
yeah.
Even on the days when we're behaving on Zoom for hours. So
Yes.
thank you so much, Vanya.
Welcome. Thank you.